missed you, NFL. What's up, everybody? Ken Swanson here with Matt Lane. The Kansas City Chiefs win in an absolute thriller. 27-20, great game. Just a game of inches here as Isaiah Likely's toe is the difference in this game being tied and the Baltimore Ravens going, or not tied. The Baltimore Ravens scoring a touchdown and going for the win, going for two. And the Chiefs winning in week 1 of the 2024 NFL season. What a game, Matthew.
I mean, that was a game. That was a great game. I mean, start to finish. This is a perfect way for, I think, fans to start the whole thing. Great for us as Chiefs fans to come away with a win after a game like that where, you know, both teams played very good. The Chiefs obviously didn't play perfect, and I think that kind of gave the Ravens a chance to come back in for a game that they generally look like the better team for the majority of it. But, man, it comes down to, I mean, literally a fourth of an inch on the final play of the game before the Ravens are going for the win. It was a great time.
Yeah, what a game here. And we are excited to get the opinion of one Geoff Schwartz joining us here on the KCSN Postgame. Geoff, how we doing, man?
Wow, what a excuse me. What a game for the first game of the season, Matt. I can't even talk. What a contest. Look, I'll tell you what. I thought the Chiefs outplayed the Ravens, and the Ravens were 1 inch away from potentially going for 2 and winning the game. I mean, that's the way the NFL is, right? You miss on your mistakes. You don't score touchdowns in the red zone. And all that being said, Kansas City scores 27 points against a good team. Like it's the NFL. Like this was the NFL when 2 high-level teams play each other.
Yeah, Geoff, you know, I think one of the big storylines here, I think, is getting to see this offense start to click a little bit more. Some good things. You know, it wasn't perfect, to your point. Some drops, some key drops in some big situations, but still finding a way to put 27 points on the board, finding a way to get some explosive plays. What did you think about the first week of the Chiefs offense?
Look, I thought the offense just looked way more confident, right? It looked like an offense that had a spark that we didn't see last season. It looked like an offense that knew they're good again, right? They found matchups, obviously, with Rashee Rice in the middle of the field against linebackers. And again, that's with like 4 drops, right? The running backs dropped a couple. Juju dropped one early on. So there's still work to be done, but I thought that in general, it looked like an offense that sort of had their vibe back. And that's important for game 1.
Yeah, and a big part of that was obviously, you know, rookie Xavier Worthy comes in. He scores 2 touchdowns over 20 yards for this team. They only had 4 of those all of last season, so he's already halfway there after 1 game. And that was a big pick for them coming out of the draft. But just the ability for Worthy to stretch, you know, defenses vertically and give them something to think about seems like it gave, you know, them a little bit more space to find Rice, to find Kelsey, to get the run game going a little bit. So hopefully that's something they see the rest of the year going on. And was there kind of something that you noted, anything in there with Worthy's being able to stretch out defenses and open up stuff for other guys?
So it's pretty interesting if you listen to wide receivers that play with the Chiefs, whether it was Juju who was there and then left, or it was Rashee Rice last year. You can just watch this on the film. It does take, you know, 10, 12 games to understand where you need to be in the offense in relation to where Mahomes wants you. Again, Mahomes might want you somewhere else, right? Like that's sort of the freeness of this offense where a play might be called, but, you know, Mahomes tells you, you know, go right here, right? Or, you know, if you have a deeper route, but you decide to cut it off because the safety's over the top. I mean, those are things that you get used to working with Mahomes, especially on some of the stuff where defenses are moving, right? Where you might sit in a zone that's not really the route designed. And so I think it takes time for wide receivers to figure out something. In game 1, look, they didn't target him. I think he had 3 targets. One was the touchdown where he scored on. You know, they got the reverse. Like they're finding ways to get him in the offense. So I felt for game 1, being a rookie, he looked like he belonged, and the Chiefs did a good job of getting him involved. But look, this is what the offense. I think he completed passes to I don't know, 8 different people, 12 different. I mean, it was like everyone who was on the roster who dressed, I think, besides Steele, had a catch in this game. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was 9 guys. 9 guys had 8 had a reception, 9 had targets. So, you know, that's just what this offense is, right? You know, in a given week, you're going to find different guys to score. I mean, look, Kelsey only had 3 receptions. Like, he was a decoy for a lot of what they did tonight.
Well, and, you know, hey, 68 yards total for Xavier Worthy, 1 away from a real nice game. Talk a little bit about the running game here. What did you see there? And actually, you know what? I want to pivot. I want to ask just specifically about the offensive line, run and pass as a whole. This is a group that's kind of, you know, it's got Kingsley Suamataia in the mix now, right? What did you think about that offensive line that first initial week here with the 24 offensive line?
So I thought it was good. I think that Kingsley, it's funny, Collinsworth highlighted him and just showed him getting beat 3 times. He looked like a rookie at times. I'll tell you what, the one thing that I think was important to take away from this, and Chris mentioned this, and it's certainly true, and I noticed this as well, is that the Chiefs did not give him help. Like, they trust him ready to be an island. A lot of times, the help with the tight end, help with the running back, they did none of that in this game. So I think just from like a do we trust him standpoint, that had to be a pretty good sign for if you're a Chiefs fan to how they feel about Kingsley. I think the offensive line otherwise played fine. I mean, Creed was great in space. A couple missed blocks, and Trey got beat one time inside. I mean, it just happens, right? That's the NFL. But I thought as a whole, they looked pretty good.
One thing that stood out to me in the run game, the run game wasn't overly efficient. I think Pacheco only averaged about 3 yards per carry, but they got the tough yards when they needed it. They were, getting ahead of the sticks, especially in the second half when they were trying to burn some clock. But something I noticed was the Chiefs were using this new kind of, I don't want to say new, but they were using this motion across from a tight end, and they were essentially hiking the ball, and the tight end was aligned almost as a fullback, and they were using him as a lead blocker. It was an interesting wrinkle to something the Chiefs hadn't done, and they probably ran that run 3, 4, 5 times throughout this whole game. But it was just, is there anything else besides maybe that, or that you want to expand on that you saw out of their run game that could have been different from years past?
I think that I'm trying to think of the plays that we saw different formations, especially in the run game, right? In the pass game, right? They ran that 4 strong flood where I think they hit Watson coming over. No team does the 4 strong flood, especially into the boundary. The Chiefs run game was pretty much the same, right? I mean, they ran the counters, or those little the little counters when the back sort of does that inside movement and comes back out. It looked sort of the same. I thought they ran a couple times under center, which was nice to see. They had a counter that was I think in the second to last drive that looked pretty good. Look, the Chiefs are never going to try to establish the run. It's not what their team is. It's fine. You have to accept that. I think they ran the ball they ran the ball. Well, I guess Mahomes had 2 rushes. So let's say 18 times. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So take out his 2 rushes, and they threw the ball 30 times. That's what the Chiefs, that's what the split's going to be all the time, right? 40-60.
Yeah. 60-40. Yeah. You got that nice little 60-40 split throwing the football there. Let's talk a little bit about the defense with you, Geoff. Largely the same group outside of L'Jarius Sneed from last year. What was your initial thoughts on the Chiefs defense here?
Yeah, look, I thought Leo Chanel played a really good game. He was the spy on Lamar for the most part in this game. They let Lamar escape a little bit too much, but pretty much, other than the one blown coverage, I mean, they played well. I mean, I thought that, look, the Chiefs defense just has to be a tiny bit above average. They let Hill get out of the backfield too much, I thought, on third down. That's why the Ravens were 50% on third down. Otherwise, I thought they were good. I think that, they need to get, I would say, Karlaftis more of a, just a consistent pass rusher to go aside Jones. But other than that, I thought it was a good, solid performance from the Chiefs in the first game with some new pieces and new places.
Yeah, and you could definitely tell, as the game wore on, because of how Lamar Jackson was playing, he was trusting his legs a lot, and he was putting a lot of pressure on the defense. Those guys were getting gassed. I mean, that happened in the first half. It kind of happened early in the game because it's the first game of the year. Some guys are working back into shape, and then you just keep chasing that kind of quarterback around forever. Guys got tired. So I think they did a good job kind of trying to contain him as much as they could. Was there anything else from this game, offense or defense, that kind of really stood out to you, that really piqued your interest that we haven't touched on yet?
No, I just go back to the Chiefs. I think the vibe of the offense felt so much better than last season. That to me is what stood out. It looked like a much more confident group of players. And you could tell that from the first snap through the entire game. There wasn't, I felt like they kind of got their juice back a little bit. That's my takeaway. And defensively, some coverage bust, sure, but it's hard to defend Lamar when he's has the ball for 7-8 seconds. He's just that type of player. He's a special player like that. And you come out with week 1 with a potential. This is a home field advantage tiebreaker, and you won. It's a great position to be in for Kansas City.
Geoff, I know you're an East Coast guy right now, and we appreciate you hanging out with us a little bit tonight, even though it's past midnight there because of that little rain delay. So, Geoff, thank you for jumping on with us today.
Glad to be here, guys.
We appreciate it.
Take
yes,
care,
sir. We appreciate you, man. That was Geoff Schwartz, and we'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNpost. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNPOST. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNpost. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Chiefs win by a toe, 27-20. Opening the season up positively with a win. A lot of good things to talk about here. So what?
7-toed sloth.
All right.
7 points.
Okay, cool. We want to talk real quick about the KCSN golf tournament. That is happening on Saturday. So there are still a few spots available if you want to try to play a little bit of golf with us here coming up on Saturday at Sunflower Hills. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tacos, bourbon, and all kinds of delicious food, fun games, prizes. It's going to be a great time. Link is in the description of the show if you want to come and participate in that. Go to givebutter.com/KCSN golf if you want to participate. All right, so Maddie, a lot of good things in this game. Definitely some things, good and bad, but
sure.
I think you've got to walk away feeling positive about a team going and winning against one of the best teams in the AFC, the one seed in the AFC this time last year.
Yeah. Chiefs
go out, win by 7. We'll start with the offensive side of the ball. I thought Patrick Mahomes played a fantastic game. I thought he had a really good game.
Yeah, I want to go back to real quick and we'll move into Mahomes. Like what Geoff was saying, just the offense seemed to find their identity a little bit, or even more than identity, confidence, right? Mm-hmm. There was still a lot of short passing from this Chiefs team, and it didn't feel like they had a ton of time to really drop back and get deep into the drop back passing game. But, they did a good job. They played more confidently, even though it was mostly shorter passes. It seemed like it was coming more with the whole offense, not just Mahomes with his chest. Mm-hmm. And then I think that takes you into Patrick Mahomes. He was throwing the ball as confidently as he ever has. I mean, he lobbed a deep ball to Worthy later in the game. Obviously, he was wide open, but he took the shot. Some of the arm angle stuff he was trying, even from the get-go. Some of the passes he was throwing to Rashee Rice on these slants near traffic were just perfect throws, where he's altering the angle, the trajectory of the football over and over again. So starts with the offense being confident as a whole, and that obviously starts with Patrick Mahomes, and I thought he did a great job. Then he has the 2 scramble plays where he avoids the rush and then makes throws that very few quarterbacks can play. That just kind of, lets everybody know that he's still the best player in the NFL, no matter what you want to think, no matter how many times Chris Collinsworth wants to talk about the look of determination in Lamar Jackson's eyes. Patrick Mahomes is still the guy.
Lamar Jackson averaged more yards per carry than he did yards per pass attempt today.
Obviously.
Again, by the way, just so you know. But I thought Mahomes had a great game. Obviously there's the, kind of getting hit as he's trying to throw that ball to Rashee Rice. There's the tip by, I think it was Marcus Williams, a fantastic tip.
Game ender throw, too. That would have been a game ender.
To close the game out there. I mean, that would have ended things a little bit earlier. Maybe we could have got to talk to Geoff a little bit longer because of it. But, I think that's kind of, outside of that, he was great. And just continues to make the fantastic, spectacular plays, but also continues to do all the boring stuff that helps football teams win games, right? Like you saw him working down to the back with exceptional timing, his feel for when to work down to the back and get, some positive yardage from players like Isaiah Pacheco. You still saw some of the creativity and the chemistry with Travis Kelce. But, I think the positives is you just saw him throwing with his chest the entirety of the game. There's always somebody that, we talked about this a lot this last couple of weeks. There's always going to be someone on the field, and when the Chiefs are in their best version of their personnel groupings, when Hollywood Brown returns, there's going to be 5 players on the field that Patrick Mahomes is going to feel comfortable and confident throwing the football to. And Xavier Worthy getting some opportunities here today, I think, was big in that too, because that continues to build his confidence and that continues to grow that chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah,
I mean, we'll get more on Worthy, I think, here in a second, but they were clearly throwing the ball to all these different. We got to go back. Noah Gray, also great game. They was clearly confident throwing to him and Watson and Juju Smith-Schuster.
Noah Gray had more yards than Travis Kelce did.
Yeah, and they were calling up plays. They were designing some plays to get him looks and stuff like that. It's they are building up kind of like a stable of guys that you all feel good, that Patrick Mahomes feels good and confident about throwing to. I think that confidence also translated to to how he was handling the pressure or in the pocket pretty well too. Because I don't think the offensive line pass protected great. A lot of his better plays came on really deep dropbacks because it didn't seem like he had a lot of space to step up into the pocket. And when he did, he was kind of in scramble mode. But I think that he had a good feel for where that was. Like he had a good feel for how deep he could drop. He had a good feel for when he had to start moving. So like that's again, that plays into confidence. He wasn't throwing early. He wasn't bailing from the pocket early. Early in the game, he stood in there. He ate a sack because he kind of got overwhelmed off the left side from Kingsley and Joe Tooney. Early, he also took a couple big hits early in the game, but then as it went on, he seemed to settle in and have a good feel for where the rush was winning, where it wasn't, and I think that led to him playing confident. And I do think the biggest part of that was Rashee Rice started this game on fire. Yeah. And like you can tell, there's a connection from Patrick Mahomes to Rashee Rice over the middle of the field that's even better than what it was last year.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, the space that, he's provided too, like he's getting to run in areas and into space that he's really good in, right? He's good over the middle of the field. And, it's not just under routes and stuff that we're getting to see out of him. We're getting to see him kind of run more slant routes. And that's something that the Chiefs really weren't able to run as much last year. I don't think they really got him involved on as many slants. They kind of went away with some of the slants because, they were seeing a lot of drops on slants early in the season. And so getting Rashee Rice back into some of those more option routes, like little, I call it a China route. It's like a little hitch back into like a drag across the field, getting to see some of those kind of plays. It's not easy. That play looks a lot easier than it is. and it takes good chemistry. Like you said, it takes a lot of trust because, you saw one of the balls got tipped. And there's safeties in the middle of the field that if that ball gets tipped, they can make plays on the ball. So I thought, like it's a simple slant right over the ball, and it sounds crazy, but like the ball placement was largely fantastic for Mahomes. The trust was there with Mahomes and Kelsey. With Rice, he was throwing those plays with his chest, and Rashee Rice was rewarding those short slants with a lot of yards after catch. 7 catches, 103 yards, 14.7 yards per catch in this game.
And yeah, it was all over the place. And it was all but one of them, I believe, was like a throw over the middle of the field, right? That's what they were having him. They were working in that space that they were creating from, Xavier Worthy running deep, from Travis Kelsey pulling coverage, and Kyle Hamilton specifically to the other side of the field. And you even started to see the Baltimore linebackers were trying to sit on it, and they did get one nice pass breakup on a slant that was just off the fingertips of a backer. But for the most part, Mahomes was putting the ball all around the defenders, right into Rice's lap. They even threw like a pump on a curl and then had Rice run like a deep, more of like a glance in behind it. And that was one of his bigger ones. So they were doing a fantastic job all over, trying to get the ball to Rice, not even manufacturing, but getting the ball in his hands in open space. And then you go further and you look at what some of the plays that they made to Noah Gray within structure of the offense. Even looking at some of the drops, Travis Kelsey drops a play on second down in the red zone. Isaiah Pacheco drops that like shoot route coming out of the backfield motion in the red zone. Juju Smith-Schuster drops that corner route in the red zone. Like those plays were all very much in the flow of the offense. They were all exceptional plays made by Mahomes, guys getting open, good play design. They're like, we were this close, so close to having this be like an absolutely explosive offensive performance that put the game away in the first half.
Right. Yeah. The drops were an issue in this game here. Like there were some key moments, and it was multiple players that were struggling to hold on to the football. You see Isaiah Pacheco on a really well-designed shoot route where they're, motioning him wide outside of the tackle box and then getting him on a shoot route. You see a near connection with Samaje Perine on a 3rd and 5 on a swing route out there in the backfield, or coming out of the backfield. Travis Kelsey, big opportunity on a 2nd and 5, has a drop down in the red, and then Juju with the drop. Contested catch, drop, whatever you want to call it.
That's a drop. It's a difficult catch, but it's a drop. Like we need to clear this up. Catches can be hard and still be a drop.
Yeah.
He gets both hands on it. The ball doesn't get hit by a defender. He just takes a little bit of contact. Like that's a ball that you can say should have probably been caught, but it was difficult.
So Mahomes goes 20 to 28, and we think 4 of them are drops.
Yeah. I mean, like
it's crazy.
Are we counting the Perine one? I'll call the Perine one on Mahomes because he didn't quite put enough air under it, but still.
Yeah, he probably could have put a little more touch on that too. But you look at only 8 incompletions, only 8 misconnections there in this game.
And he completed a pass to himself.
And he completed a pass to himself. And we need to talk about that. We should appreciate that a little bit, because if he doesn't complete that to himself, if he tries to bat it down in that situation, that saves 30 seconds for the Baltimore Ravens in a situation where the Chiefs needed that clock to get run out.
I mean, even worse, what if he's not the one that gets to it first and it gets picked off and now the Ravens are taking the ball over in the Chiefs territory? Like, that's the worst case scenario. Then you have, okay, just go bat it down. Like, that would be like the most logical thing, I think, in that situation. Be like, oh, this pass got tipped. Let me go knock it down so they can't intercept it. But that got the ball to the 2-minute warning. That got the clock to the 2-minute warning because he went and caught it and went down. So, like, that was a huge play.
Yeah, that was crucial. And, the Chiefs, they held on for dear life. I mean, that game was almost, they really did. They held on. They held on for dear life. Offensive line, I thought there was a little bit more, I think a little more struggle with power, I think, along the interior. And, like, Joe Tooney's coming back. So, like, this is his first opportunity to get live reps. So, like, there's that. Like, that probably has a little bit of contributing factor. Like, I think he was struggling a little bit with power today. Chiefs across the board, it seemed like they were just struggling with a little interior power, a little bit more bull rush. There wasn't as many spaces for Mahomes to step up. And with some of the inconsistencies at tackle, that was a bad combination. Yeah,
there wasn't a safe space to step up to. And so, like, I don't think the offensive line was necessarily bad, but when you have a rookie offensive tackle that you're not giving too many, like, you're not giving help to, and you have Juwan Taylor who's still battling some false starts, and, like, I don't think Juwan Taylor played bad post-snap, but, he was still getting beat on some occasions, and now you're not giving him a safe space to step up to. That makes his job a lot more difficult. So, yeah, I would like to see a little more consistency out of the offensive line. I was surprised when we got to the end of it and we went and looked and Isaiah Pacheco only averaged 3 yards per carry.
Yeah.
It felt like he was kind of consistently churning out 5 yards, having some tough runs. So I was a little surprised. I felt like the team was run blocking well. They were getting some movement on the Ravens, especially on, like, some plays when they needed to, don't count the last drive when, the Ravens are sending everybody at the backfield. So offensive line up and down. And I think, I don't want to say concerning, 1 week, never concerning, but it's something to monitor that I don't think the Ravens defensive line, and we'll see as the year goes on, is going to be one of the best units in the NFL. They were good last year, but not great. And then they lost their second best defensive lineman, to Jadeveon Clowney in free agency. So I kind of expected the Chiefs offensive line to control this game a little bit more. It seemed like the Ravens were getting a little bit more push, reducing the space around Mahomes. So that is something to just keep an eye on, I think, as we go forward.
What do you think Isaiah Pacheco's longest run on the game was?
8 yards.
5.
Was it just 5?
Yeah.
It just felt like it was consistently 5. Maybe I'm confusing some passes.
I think he had a couple catches for 33 yards, he had a 23-yard and a 10-yarder.
I know the rollover when he got picked up.
Nice little, and that moved the chains there. That extended the drive there. Like, there's little things like that. That was a good play by him there too. But yeah, I think it was, the run game was largely contained. There was no explosive runs from this team outside of the Xavier Worthy touchdown, which was awesome.
I guess we should talk about the bull in the room.
Probably should.
Okay.
Bevo strong?
Bevo strong. Hook 'em, baby. Let's go.
I want to shout out another big bull for the Buffalo Bills for allowing the Chiefs to acquire Xavier Worthy. 2 touchdowns in his debut.
Full horn circle.
2 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown. 1 rush, 21 yards, and an opening season touchdown, the first touchdown in the National Football League in 2024. What did you see out of Xavier Worthy? Or first for the Chiefs in 2024. What did you see? What did you see? Yeah, thank you, Tucker. What did you see out of Xavier Worthy?
That young man, kind of good.
A little bit.
Kind of fast, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that. So we mentioned it with Geoff. Like, the Chiefs had 4 touchdowns of over 20 yards last year. Not great. Second fewest in the NFL. Yeah. Xavier Worthy by himself had 2 in this game. That's kind of good, right? I think that's a pretty good thing. So you go back and, like, when we watch the end around, I think it's going to show up here on this highlight if you are watching with us on YouTube. We're going to see him come off the end around and, like, here it is right now. He hits a gear right here. One, he never loses speed when he's rounding the corner, but then he just hits a gear where he is clearly moving at a different speed than everybody else. The blocking on the play is great. Kelsey, Creed Humphrey, Rashee Rice, all great blocks. But there's just a speed element to his game on that end around that you see that is rare. That doesn't exist for other fast players in the NFL. And then even his touchdown later in the game, it's going to disappoint me a ton that we'll never know for sure and we didn't get to see it. But I think the Ravens were expecting Kyle Hamilton, who was aligned in the slot to the same side as Worthy, to drop and play a deep half. And, like, so they were going to do it, not an invert thing, but he was supposed to run back and play a deep half. I don't think Kyle Hamilton's keeping up with Xavier Worthy from essentially running from almost an even pace. Yeah. That 4.7 40 is not keeping up with Xavier Worthy unless they land a better press on him. So, like, I don't think it would have mattered if the coverage was blown or not. I think he beat him, but it was nice to see him track the football. It was nice to see him to make the catch, secure the catch. That's something the Chiefs clearly have struggled with, not only in this game, but all last year. So he made these plays, but then his presence overall, we've mentioned it. Rashee Rice had a lot of space to work. I think Worthy's presence played a large role in that.
We should give him some credit just for catching the football.
True.
Based on
Both
what we
times.
saw. Yeah, I mean, based on what we saw last year, we should give him a little bit of credit just for throwing the football or catching the football too. Like that was big in and of itself. So like a shout out to Xavier Worthy. If you watch some of the stills of him on that reverse too, like I think the tight view is going to be even more fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
Because he really didn't have a ton of like width. You know, there wasn't like a huge hole. Like he was just so fast that he was essentially outrunning everybody into the end zone with very tight angles, and they still weren't able to get to him. Like watching, I think it was like Kyle Van Noy at the line of scrimmage, and he's closing on him, but he does not have the juice to be able to do that. And Xavier Worthy is just gliding through the Baltimore Ravens defense. There was wildly impressive. Like
he looks like he did fast forward. I mean, it's the old Tyreek Hill thing. He just looks like he's moving in fast forward while other very fast football players are trying a lot harder than it looks like he is. And he's a fun guy to watch move because he kind of glides. He's not a short strider for not a tall guy. He's not a short strider, so it's not like the leg turnover looks super like quick or fast. Like if you think back to Marvin Harrison, his feet just moved 100 miles an hour because he had shorter legs. And like Worthy's not like that, but it's also not like long strides either. He seems like he glides, but he's going so much faster than everybody else. I'm with you. The tight angle on that end around is going to be phenomenal because it is a narrow gap. He never slows down to turn upfield. We had years of McCole Hardman's been an excellent gadget player for this team. A lot of end arounds, a lot of screens. But when we watch him on those, there's a very clear like slow down, plant, and explode upfield and drive upfield. Worthy didn't have that. He just carried that momentum all the way through the curve, and like that's what was impressive.
I don't know how much we really saw McCole actually on offense in this game. I'm not really sure we got much of him. I know Justin Watson made an appearance and had a nice little 25-yard catch in that game. It seemed like he was getting a little bit of run. Kind of interesting what the Chiefs were doing with some of their personnel groupings, seeing like Sky Moore, Justin Watson on the field at the same time on a third down with Juju.
Well, and 12, they did a lot of 12 personnel that was they had some wily Noah Gray, Watson, Sky Moore combos. Like Kelsey was in there too. Like they had some interesting personnels, and I don't like the Watson, Sky Moore 12 personnel thing because you're losing all of your dynamic players with those guys on the field. Now, it works sometimes. I think one of them was a big Noah Gray catch, so it worked on some of them. But yeah, they were doing interesting stuff. I feel like we need to talk more defense, Kent.
We do need to talk more defense. We haven't spent all that much time on it. Hold the Baltimore Ravens to 20 points. Wasn't always pretty. There was a large stretch where they played really good football. I mean, like they held the Ravens to 3 points for an extended period of time, and they're playing pretty well. But some up and downs I think in this game for them.
Yeah, I mean, like let's start with the positives, right? Like to start the game, Chris Jones was on a tear. The Baltimore Ravens had no answer for Chris Jones, and it was very much shown at the end of the game, right? Like they didn't have an answer for Chris Jones, and it became their idea for Chris Jones. Okay, we're going to let him win, and then we're going to have Lamar beat him once Chris Jones wins. We're going to let Chris Jones win so badly that he's going to be kind of out of his gap, and then Lamar's going to replace it because he's more athletic. And you saw at the end of the game, the last two plays of the game, they left Chris Jones one-on-one with Justice Hill and said, whatever way you beat Justice Hill, Lamar's going to go the other. And it worked both times for the Ravens. And not that he wasn't pressured, but Chris Jones did not like significantly impact Lamar Jackson on those two plays, right? So the Ravens didn't really have an answer for Chris Jones. It eventually just became, hey, Lamar, go out-athlete him. And that's what you want to see as a Chiefs fan. Like you want to know that your player is so good that the opposing offense has zero answer for him and says, well, I guess you're going to beat us anyway. We're going to quit trying to scheme everything up to stop you. We're going to let you win and then just react to what you're doing.
We have a quick quote from Isaiah Likely here. This is the worst we are going to play, so if that's the best they have, good luck in the postseason.
Sure, buddy.
So much coping right now.
I'm sure. Was Lamar Jackson also hurt? If he felt better, did he never have to throw the ball in this game? He should. They probably would have done better if he never did throw the ball in this game.
Tucker D. Franklin jumping in here.
I got a quote from Roquan Smith talking about sad. Ravens Roquan Smith, this is from Justin Churchill at Churchill A to Z on Twitter. Quote, he flopped Mahomes on the sideline. That's why they didn't call it. Great no call, but whoever 88 is better watch himself. He did a little slick push. Whoever he is, I'll see him when I see him.
88.
That's Peyton Hendershot.
Peyton Hendershot. He was the guy that was getting in Roquan's face.
He's not even dressed.
Love to see the new guys getting in there, standing up for the teammates, fighting for the boys. Love to see. That's culture right there. That's what you preach. That's culture.
Little Hendershot from Peyton there on Roquan Smith on the sidelines. Oh well, okay. Anyways, we can continue on the defensive side of the ball. What else did you see out of that group?
Overall, I mean, I came into this year mostly worried about the Chiefs' cornerback room, and I think they acquitted themselves well. We saw Joshua Williams was in good coverage on a deep shot, and we saw him play the ball. He turned back to play the ball. It wasn't catchable because Lamar, but he turned around to play the ball. Jalen Watson had a really good pass breakup later in the game. He did get, a defensive pass interference early on for not finding the ball, but generally speaking, I thought those two outside corners played well. I know Trent McDuffie got beat early in the game on like a crossing route from Zay Flowers where he was out leveraged, but after that, he wasn't really taken advantage of. They tried Trent McDuffie out in the flats a couple times, and that was a huge mistake. So worried about the cornerback room, but those three guys came and played exceptionally well in this game. I know the Ravens wide receivers / passing attack isn't the scariest because, again, Lamar, but they went out there and they did their job.
Yeah, no, I thought I that was one of the biggest questions for me was how that cornerback group was going to look. It's been a little bit our visibility on the outside looking in when it comes to things like training camp, when it comes to the preseason games, pretty inconsistent with what we've seen out of the cornerback position. Didn't look, the best during the entirety of camp. And I thought Justin Watson played a pretty good game. Like we talked about that pass deflection he had. On Zay Flowers. I know he had a little PI call, a little tug there, but it was an underthrown bat. It was a terrible throw. It was a really bad throw, again, because anything beyond 2 yards was really bad.
Oh, Tuck's got something that's very pertinent here.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Wright just tweeted this one out. Lamar at the press conference. I thought it was a touchdown. I still think it was a touchdown. I think 2 feet were in. That is objectively
incorrect.
Wrong.
False.
That is just wrong.
Uh-huh.
Just like Lamar when he says they're going to win the game without him throwing because he essentially didn't throw and they still didn't win the game yet again.
The Chiefs are in the Ravens' head.
A maximum coping going on right now.
The amount of cope that this team is experiencing right now.
This is what happened to the Jags when Telvin Smith opened his mouth up a couple years ago.
I mean, and look, they didn't exact the regular season revenge on the Chiefs. By the way, Baltimore and Isaiah Likely, Hollywood Brown didn't play in this game. So when he comes and plays in that game and the Chiefs don't drop, and leave, 8, 10, 12, 14 points on the board. Yeah, this isn't their best football. Good luck. Have fun. Yeah.
What I mean, and look, maybe this is hopeful too. When Nick Bolton gets into a little bit better football shape, I think that's going to go a long way as well.
Well, hey, you know what? Let's take a break. Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about the defense, some of that stuff, and then we'll get Tucker D. Franklin with more quotes from
about to get into it
from the pity party in the Baltimore Ravens locker room. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
I genuinely enjoy the Ravens' tears.
Sad.
I wonder if they're showing up on the Doppler forecast. It's raining on Arrowhead Stadium still. But the Ravens coping is just hilarious. Yeah, so we can talk a little bit about some of the maybe low points on the defensive side of the ball. I know you had some thoughts there on Nicholas Bolton.
Yeah, I mean, let's jump into the Nicholas Bolton conversation here because I do think that the guy hasn't played practiced a ton of football because he's been injured. So the hope is, I think in this situation that he's a little out of shape. You're going up against a team that's going to make you run a lot because Lamar Jackson's scrambling around. He's making a lot of stuff happen with his legs. So you're hoping a little bit that Nick Bolton's working his way back into shape and that he's going to play a little bit faster when he gets, locked back in. But boy, it was kind of rough for a while, right? Nick Bolton had a rough game. We don't got to dance around it. The Ravens, I think, completed 4 third and 8 pluses by throwing the ball to the flat. And I can't guarantee for sure that Nick Bolton was the guy responsible for it. But
Not all of them.
But he was the first guy to react to all. He was the first guy that was getting within the picture. Now he was never getting to the ball carrier because he was just slow. But it just seemed like he was never in the right spot. The Ravens started kind of throwing some prayers downfield that Nick Bolton was on the other end of not being able to make a play on. It wasn't the best game out of Nick Bolton. And it really stood out to me because Leo Chenal, I thought, played great. They did a great job with him as a spy and taking on blockers. Drew Tranquill had some rough reps in coverage because he got tough assignments. But when you watch him, he was blowing up Patrick Ricard play after play. He was living in the backfield versus the run. I thought Chenal and Tranquill played great. It was just really Bolton, who's supposed to be the best linebacker, I don't think held up his end of that bargain. I think that led to a lot of the Ravens' success in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, I agree. And it's areas of the field that, Nick Bolton and those linebackers are typically responsible for. I mean, Drew Tranquil had a few little issues in coverage there too. But he was getting some tough challenges as well. It was a little bit, it wasn't as much pursuit angles and not being able to chase down. It was getting cooked by Zay Flowers in coverage, which is going to happen from time to time. But yeah, I do think there was a little bit of game shape there with Bolton. And there was a couple of moments where he looked tired in the fourth quarter. Like he was kind of struggling a little bit there, I think, in the fourth quarter. So like I think you just hope, hey, look, get your legs back underneath you. Hopefully you can start playing playing a little bit faster.
Yeah.
There's still some of the things that we saw aren't going to get fixed. Like that's just kind of, the box that he operates within. Like I don't think he's going to be a guy that consistently turns his head and plays the ball and is going to be able to make that play in coverage. But I think you're just hoping that he kind of gets back into the swing of things. I thought, you talk about guys that are, trying to get their legs back underneath them and stuff. Like Chris didn't look like he skipped a beat despite not practicing a ton the last couple of weeks. Like Chris, I thought, had an outstanding game. I think he was still pretty consistently generating pressure and creating problems for defense or for the offense, even late into the game, which I thought was really good. So that was a good performance from Chris Jones. I think there's some opportunities, left on the field for this defense. Like there's definitely I think largely for this game, both sides of the football, it's a game the Chiefs coaches are going to like because they won the football game. They did a lot of good things, but there's so many little things that they can improve on. And if they just, a little bit more assignment sound, better tackling in the flat, better pursuit in flat, little things like that. I think, there's a lot of those like Shamari Connor tackle technique out in the flat. Like he was flying around and I appreciate that. There's some little things here that they're going to be able to catch in the football. Like you've got to feel good about where this team is at because I think the things that they struggled with the most are largely fixable.
I mean, it's a unique game because Lamar Jackson runs around so much. He does so much scrambling, guys got tired. So, on one hand, I want to say the Chiefs' pass rush after the first quarter was pretty poor. Like, even Chris Jones being very good, it was still generally a pretty poor pass rush. And part of that is George Karlaftis wasn't really winning his one-on-ones against rookie right tackle or Patrick McCarry when he was in there. Tershawn Wharton, I think, had a good game. He had some wins. And then it's hard once you win to get Lamar Jackson on the ground. So, it's a unique game to judge stuff like the pass rush, and they got so tired. But you would like to see a little bit more, especially on third downs in those moments. But then the trick was, for a while there, they were letting Wharton and Chris Jones tee off. They were both winning, but they're both winning outside. And then Lamar Jackson immediately makes you pay by rushing through the middle. So it's a tricky game to look at, but there was clearly positives. I think there are some worries. And like I said, the Bolton's the big center because you can't use... Bolton wasn't in a position where he could spy Lamar. He can't do that, but he also couldn't play the coverage, the zone guy in the middle of the field either. So where do you use him when you also want to use Leo Chanel, who can't really do both? It's they got three linebackers. One of them has a different skill set in Tranquil. Bolton and Leo seem like they cross over a little bit more. It's kind of hard to figure out how to maximize both of them at one time.
Yeah, and there's still time to figure that out. But I think it's good that you saw good linebacker play from a couple of them. Tucker D. Franklin, what do you got for us?
And this tweet coming from Charles Goldman. Head coach Andy Reid says that Trip McDuffie, Malik Herring, Mike Dana, and Leo Chanel all got dinged up, but they were all able to return and finish the game. So on the injury front, nothing going into this extended break as the Chiefs will then face the Bengals on Sunday, but they have, Fraud Goals, next Sunday, which is a 10-day layoff.
Yeah, it's always good to get, it's nice. It's nice kicking off the NFL season. You get a nice little extra break there.
How do you do that every year?
You win the Super Bowl is what you do.
Did the Ravens do that?
No, they didn't.
Oh, okay.
But as a consolation, they got to watch the Chiefs hang a banner and start the season early with them. So that was, I hope they enjoyed their time here in Arrowhead. Another fun line from Andy Reid on Isaiah Pacheco taking himself out and coming back in. He's a tough kid. We've got a couple, 3 running backs who are tough nuts. So I thought that was fun. I saw this from Bill Barnwell too. This is going back to the offense. Chiefs routes on the night. Travis Kelce led with 25, ran 25 routes. Rashee Rice 23, Xavier Worthy 23, Isaiah Pacheco 22. Justin Watson, 16. Noah Gray, 11. Juju Smith-Schuster with 7. Kind of seemed like that was more in the first half, too. I think Juju maybe didn't see as much time in the second half. Didn't feel like. I have to check that out. And then Samaje Perine got 7. So, Xavier Worthy's just in there a lot right off the bat. That was great to see. And I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, the Juju thing was funny because like I think everyone's gonna remember the drop, but like what you're not gonna remember is there was about 3 plays where Juju Smith-Schuster ran like a little hitch, and as the ball was being caught, Juju Smith-Schuster's already turning to block for whoever was catching the ball. He was essentially just being like an extra offensive lineman downfield blocking for a reception underneath them, and it wasn't it was borderline like getting to illegal offensive pass interference, but the timing was really good, so that just shows his feel, the trust they kind of have with him because they did put him out there. I think if we go back and watch how Juju Smith-Schuster ran routes and what he did when we go back and watch this, you're going to very easily be able to slot Hollywood Brown into a lot of those routes. You're obviously going to give Hollywood more vertical responsibilities than what you gave Juju Smith-Schuster. But I mean, he still had, an 18-yard corner route or deep out? That's probably not a Juju special route. That's probably something maybe designed for Hollywood Brown when he's available. So I think it's pretty clear where you can see Hollywood slide into that role. I assume the wide receiver room will also slim down once guys come back. Like they did run a fair amount of Justin Watson, Sky Moore, and Juju Smith-Schuster that we probably all didn't see as being like they were going to use that many guys as they kind of solidified this room, I think, up top.
I think they already slimmed it down, though. Like we talked about, like McColl, I don't think got any reps. So they already are starting to slim it down a little bit. So there's a little bit of break in case of emergency, a little security there in the back end of that group, which is at least people that they've had success with in recent memory. I mean, McColl got the Super Bowl winner in overtime, right? So I do think this group does start to get pared down a little bit more. But Mahomes on Pacheco's touchdown, I felt like I scored a touchdown as well, helping push him in there on the inside. Mahomes was hyped for that.
Collinsworth didn't say a single word about his determination.
No, and that's the real determination, if you ask me. If you ask me there, Tuck, you got anything else?
No.
I got one.
Oh, well, hold on.
Okay.
Tucker, what was your biggest takeaway from the game, Tuck?
Lamar can't throw the football. I mean, that's the Chiefs were all right. I knew the Chiefs were okay when it came down to Lamar having to throw the football. You saw him miss
countless throws.
Really, the throw to Isaiah Likely that Isaiah Likely came down with but ended out of bounds. Not a good throw. He blatantly missed a wide open Zay Flowers in the end zone. He blatantly missed not Xavier Worthy. That's the wrong team. Isaiah Likely in the other corner of the end zone when he got hurt on. So like there was 3 plays in a row. They were awful throws. The Rashad Bateman play, not a good throw. Rashad Bateman bails him out. Lamar, look, and I told you guys, I'm probably on. I would have considered myself a Lamar truther before tonight, and I think I've radicalized.
Was the 10 points last year at home in the AFC Championship game out of it for you?
Well, yeah, I mean the dude can't throw the football effectively. And that's just really what it comes down to.
You average 0.8 yards per pass attempt in air yards in the first half.
The hard part for it, too, for like this particular situation was listening to Chris Collinsworth for a long time just like heap loads and loads of praise on Lamar Jackson, who is a good football player. But when you just unleash an entire half of stuff about how great Lamar Jackson's playing to where you spend 30 seconds talking about how it's an offense that you've never seen before after he called his own number on QB power on a 1st and 15 and picked up 3 yards, it gets tiresome, especially when you come back right away and it's like, well, hey, the quarterback and the other team's kind of doing, better stuff than he is. So even for somebody who likes Lamar Jackson, that's like a hard broadcast probably to listen to for you, Tuck, who is a big fan of Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Lamar. I think Lamar's a really good football player, but it was and we had the conversation too, just like, golly, it was just like hard to listen to, man. It just like all of the heaping the praise from like Collinsworth. And again, I like Lamar Jackson. I think he is a good football player. I don't think he can throw the ball effectively.
There's nothing wrong with that. They play a style of football out there in Baltimore, but we don't have to heap this kind of praise on something that's not real. And I think that's where some people get frustrated because we don't have to be. Again, Lamar Jackson had more yards per carry than he did have yards per attempt and was particularly bad as a passer again, despite focusing on it again, because this is who he is. And that's it. Just, we don't have to try to make him more than he is. Very good football player. Yeah. Winning football player.
Great. Good football player.
Except in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes on Xavier Worthy's impact. Just having him out there opens things up. Shell coverages are getting Trav and Rasheed open underneath. When we get Hollywood back, it's going to be hard for defenses to choose who they want to cover. That's exactly right. That's the hope. That's the excitement. That's the reason I'm so optimistic and bullish on this offense. I mean, 27 points against the Baltimore Ravens is still a very good feat. But I think there are so many points left on the table, and this team should be able to, continue to have some success out there.
You know the most concerning part about this game to me?
that it ended at 11 o'clock at night?
That's
12
rough.
o'clock your time?
That's a lot better when I'm in the Central Time Zone than when I'm in the Eastern. I would have been there with Geoff, just like, whoa, boy, what are we doing here? Andy Reid opting to punt the ball instead of go for a 58-yard field goal, or to go for it on 4th and short while they were up 10.
4th and 5.
Short. And they have to go for it. And now I get it. They were up 10. A field goal makes a two-score game, but it changes it to the fact that the Ravens would now need, 2 touchdowns to win the game. They could no longer get there with like a field goal or a touchdown and a field goal. I didn't love that. Like 58 yards is clearly in Butker's range. We've seen him nail those numerous times, or just go for it with the best player in the world. I did not like that particular play, and it took the Ravens all of 42 seconds to get back to the same spot on the field and then go down and score. Right? So I just thought that was a little too conservative.
Yeah, they managed it. They won the game.
Sure.
Took them 3 plays to get back to where they,
And I guess I shouldn't say concerning because that's Andy Reid year after. Like he often has a decision like that is very high on the surrender index that gets posted on Twitter. Like he has those frequently. So I guess I shouldn't say concerning because it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be like a 62, 63-yard field goal. And we looked it up and it was under 60.
It was a 58-yarder.
Yeah, I don't know. They usually feel good about Butker with that, but I think with the 2-score lead, they wanted to play it a little safer. I just don't know if we needed to play that safe. It was a little, like, come on.
Xavier Worthy on his first touchdown. It was an amazing moment. My first touch was a touchdown. That is right. That is a fact. And also was a fact that Isaiah Likely's toe was on the line. Mahomes' advice was just gotta wear white cleats next time.
Right.
That's what Mahomes said.
That's great.
He said, just wear my white cleats, my guy. Shout out Isaiah Likely for choosing style over.
I love that the Ravens are over here pouting in a corner and crying about every little thing they can, and the Chiefs are over here just making jokes about what's going on. I mean, it's like that's what happens when you're the better team. When you know you're the better team, you don't got to tell everybody. It shows up on the field. Oh, cool, Ravens, you beat the Chiefs once because there was an unfortunate fumble by Clyde Edwards-Helaire late in the game when the Chiefs were in field goal range. Cool, hang your hat on that win for the rest of your careers. But like every other time you play the Chiefs, you lose. Get used to it. Like, it's what you are.
1 in 5 now is Lamar Jackson against the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't need to rename Baltimore Stadium or anything. We don't do that around here. We don't need to worry about that. We just continue to collect rings. So we'll just keep doing that. I think it's time for Toast Game.
Ooh,
I think it's time for a little bit of Toast Game.
Yeah.
What do you say, Tucker?
I think it is time for Toast Game. And you know what? Should I play the video?
Hit it. Let's go.
Toast Game is, of course, presented by Ben Holiday, bottled in Bond Bourbon. By the way, you get a bottle of the KCSN barrel pick of the bottled in Bond Bourbon if you are coming to the KCSN golf tournament. So yeah, try to get a foursome together. We still have a few times available if you want to try to sign up a team, get a team going. It is going to be a lot of fun. And all that money is going towards the KCSN Foundation, which is doing a lot of really cool things here in the Kansas City area, helping kids with children's literacy, helping kids that may not have a great Christmas have a better one, and all kinds of other great stuff, feeding homeless, a lot of cool stuff. Credit to BJ and Christian Gumminger for doing some tremendous work with the KCSN Foundation. But it is Toast Game presented by Ben Holiday, bottled in Bond Bourbon. Matthew Lane.
First?
Yes. Yep.
We talked about Xavier Worthy. We talked about Rashee Rice. Those were good ones. I got a good Pacheco take, but I want to save that for the lab. That's called a tease.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Noah Gray because Noah Gray, shout out Noah Gray, signs a nice, good contract, comes in for a 3-year, $18 million contract. Let's go, Noah. And then he comes out and has one of his better games as a Chief, right? He comes out and shows that he's worth every bit of that money.
Brett knew.
Despite the fact, that was a good substantial amount of money for a second tight end, a backup tight end, if you will, but he played a big role, and he had 3 catches, looked great out there, blocked really well. So shout out Noah Gray. Strong game for the White Horse.
Love it. Tucker D. Franklin.
I'm just scrolling through the chat here. I'm just want to give some props to people in the chat, letting us know who their toast game is. Jake Dennis, toast goes to Mahomes. Good football player. That's great.
Leading all-time passer in the national football or in the Chiefs history now.
I'm glad you brought that up because did you know that Patrick Mahomes became the all-time leading passer in Chiefs history with a 23-yard pass to Travis Kelce in the second quarter? Huge day. Great throw.
Yep.
Great throw.
Is he good?
Yeah, he's pretty good. I'm still running through the chat. I wanna get some of these guys out here. Toast to Leo Chanel from Justin Allen.
Great choice.
Jackie Moon, my toast to Jalen Watson.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, yeah.
Jim, he echoes your sentiment, Matty. 83. That's who he's raising the glass
Let's
to.
go.
Xavier Worthy. But
Yep.
look, as I am watching this game, I cannot help but raise a glass to good health.
What?
Going into this
Let's
season.
go.
You got to raise a glass to good health. Cheers to that.
I think that's fantastic. I want a couple flyby toast the Buffalo Bills for trading with the Kansas City Chiefs, so they can draft Xavier Worthy. Yeah, I think Chris Jones is the toast game for me. I think he was an absolutely monster disruptive player. I think he was really an impactful player in that game, and what he was doing early gets the bag and looks like the defensive player of the year level player to start the season. So yeah, I'll go with Chris Jones there.
Oh yeah.
I got another one too.
Yeah, go.
Oh, this is a shout out. This is for all the people. This is a shout out to Donovan Smith for keeping the best press conference ever relevant with the looking at the sad ass Ravens over there crying yet again. Does Roquan Smith cry more or play football more? I'm not sure at this point.
He's
I didn't
sad.
realize it was Roquan twice.
Look
at him. He's
Sad.
sad.
Look at this sad ass. Come on now. Donovan Smith, the best press conference, best video. It wasn't press conference, best video of all time as Roquan was over there crying yet again because the Chiefs beat him and he didn't like it.
What a delicious evening here in Kansas City. The Chiefs kick off the 2024 season with a victory 27-20 over the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you to Geoff Schwartz for jumping in with us earlier, breaking down this game. That's Maddie Lane. That's Tucker D. Franklin. I'm Ken Swanson. We love you. We appreciate you. Check out Only Weird Games tomorrow. They'll have more for you on Friday. The lab will be back on Monday. We can't wait to break this game down even farther. And we're going to have all 22 to watch by then. It's going to be a great time. Anyways, we love you. We'll catch you later.
See you guys on Saturday at the tourney.
Yeah, that too.